December 31st, 2004, Friday night, Phoenix, Arizona. 7:43 p.m. The parking lot stretches like an asphalt ocean under sodium lights. Every slot filled, SUVs idle near the entrance, their exhaust systems breathing white vapor into 40-degree air. A father pulls into the last available space, cuts the engine, turns to his two kids in the back seat. Everybody ready? They nod enthusiastically. This is the Friday night ritual. This is sacred. Through the 20-foot glass facade, you can see them. Families clutching plastic cases, teenagers debating which game to rent, a mother negotiating with her daughter over Shrek 2 versus The Incredibles. An elderly couple stands before the classic movies section, taking their time. No rush. A college student loads up on 4 rentals for the weekend. She's calculated the math, knows exactly how to maximize her entertainment budget. Inside, the air tastes like microwave popcorn and new carpet chemicals mixed with that indefinable scent of plastic cases. Thousands of them, millions of them worldwide, all carrying that same manufactured smell. That distinctive scanner chirp echoes every 3 seconds. Beep, 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 as the blue-shirted employees process the Friday night rush. 4 registers running, lines 6 deep. Nobody minds. The wait is part of the experience. You make eye contact with neighbors, wave at the guy from your gym, chat with the employee about whether Napoleon Dynamite is actually funny or just weird. This Blockbuster in suburban Phoenix represents 1 point in a constellation of 9,094 stars scattered across 25 countries, from Auckland to Anchorage, from London to Los Angeles. 84,000 souls clock in every morning to these temples of distraction. The cash registers sing a collective melody worth $6 billion annually. Enough money to buy small nations, to fund space programs, to reshape industries. To the 60 million Americans carrying a yellow membership card in their wallets, tucked between driver's licenses and credit cards, bent at the corners from years of use, Blockbuster isn't just a store. It's muscle memory. Friday nights after work, first dates where you learn someone's taste, sick days on the couch with soup and 3 movies, the background radiation of American life. The place where culture happens. Parents bring their children here the way their parents brought them to libraries. It's a rite of passage. Your first membership card with your name on it. Learning to be responsible. Return on time or pay the price. Take care of what you borrow. Rewind before returning. Be kind. Rewind, the stickers say. It seemed immortal. As permanent as McDonald's golden arches or Coca-Cola's red logo. The kind of institution you assume will exist for your grandchildren. But in a Dallas boardroom 4 years earlier, 3 men had a meeting that lasted 40 minutes. One of those men proposed a partnership worth $50 million. Another man, powerful, successful, confident, felt his lip twitch as he suppressed laughter. And in that moment, invisible to everyone in the room, invisible to the 9,000 stores currently operating, invisible to the stock market analysts writing glowing reports, an empire signed its death warrant in suppressed laughter and corporate hubris. Tonight, this Phoenix location hums with life. The energy is palpable. The New Year's weekend means big business. Everyone wants entertainment for parties, for gatherings, for quiet nights at home as one year becomes another. The employees work with practiced efficiency. The district manager has already called twice today to check numbers. They'll hit target, maybe exceed it. In 6 years, this store will be dark. Its windows covered with brown paper, a space-available sign hanging where the blue and yellow logo once blazed. In 10 years, the space will house a nail salon called Lux Nails, and the only evidence that Blockbuster ever existed here will be the faint outline on the carpet where checkout counters once stood, visible only if you know what you're looking for. And of the 9,094 Blockbusters operating right now at this exact moment, humming with life and promise, and the weekly rituals of millions, only one will survive. Just one. In a small Oregon city, most Americans couldn't find on a map. The monster was magnificent, its reach global, its brand power absolute, its customer loyalty seemingly unbreakable, but it was already dead. The cancer had already spread through the corporate body. The heart had already stopped beating. The organism simply hadn't received the message yet. The monster just didn't know. 1998. Somewhere in suburban America, in a wallet between a driver's license and a Visa card, sits a rectangle of laminated plastic, pale yellow like aged parchment, like butter, like early morning sun, 3.4 inches wide, 2 inches tall. Barcode on the back, a series of black lines that, when scanned, unlock an entire universe of possibilities. On the front, name printed in bold Helvetica. Michael Chen, member since 1994. This card is a passport. More than that, It's citizenship in a republic of entertainment. With it, you can walk into any Blockbuster from Anchorage to Miami, from Seattle to Key West, show this rectangle of plastic, and emerge with the most valuable commodity in the pre-streaming age. Entertainment on demand. $3.99 for new releases, 99 cents for catalog titles, $5.99 for video games, due back Wednesday, or face the wrath of late fees. But that's tomorrow's problem. Tonight, you have movies. Teenagers work minimum wage at Blockbuster just to get the employee version of this card, which grants free rentals, 5 per week, any title except brand new releases. It's worth more than the paycheck. It's worth the Sunday shifts and the difficult customers and the endless shelving. 5 free movies a week means cultural literacy. It means watching everything. It means becoming the person friends call when they need recommendations. Parents use it as leverage. Finish your homework, then we use the card. Children bargain for it. If I clean my room all week, can we go to Blockbuster on Friday? The card becomes a currency of family negotiation, a tool of behavioral management, a reward system built into weekly routines. First dates center around browsing together, walking aisles side by side, negotiating preferences. She wants comedy. He wants action. They compromise on comedy action, discovering in the process how they solve problems together, how they communicate, how they handle disagreement. More relationships begin and end in Blockbuster aisles than anyone tracks. The video rental store as unlikely matchmaker. In 1998, 100 million of these cards exist in circulation worldwide. 100 million active accounts. Each one a tiny profit engine generating 3 to 4 transactions monthly. Each one a connection point between customer and empire. A digital handshake renewed every Friday night. The card glows with promise, with access, with the democratic ideal that anyone, regardless of income or education or social class, can borrow Hollywood dreams for under $5. Michael Chen still has his card. He's 38 now, works in accounting, has 2 kids, keeps it in a desk drawer at home between stamps and paper clips and old business cards from conferences he doesn't remember attending. Sometimes, when searching for a pen or a rubber band, he finds it, holds it. The lamination has started peeling at one corner. The magnetic strip is probably dead, technology from another era. But he can't throw it away, because holding it brings back sense memories, the smell of the store on Saturday afternoons, the weight of 5 VHS cases in his arms, the satisfaction of finding the movie you wanted actually in stock, the anticipation, driving home knowing you had 2 days of entertainment waiting, simple pleasures from a slower world, the golden ticket to a kingdom that no longer exists. October 19th, 1985, a Saturday morning, Dallas, Texas, Skillman Street. David Cook, age 34, unlocks the doors to Blockbuster Video the Bio Ozo 1 at precisely 10 a.m. He's been awake since 5, triple-checking everything. The store occupies 6,500 square feet of retail space in a strip mall between a dry cleaner and a Chinese restaurant. Inside, 8,000 VHS tapes representing 6,500 titles, all of them displayed on open shelving, spine out, organized alphabetically within genre categories, accessible to customers without asking permission. This openness is revolutionary for 1985. Walk into any other video store in Dallas and you'll find inventory locked behind counters, protected from theft, requiring customers to request titles by name from clerks who then fetch them. The process is slow, awkward, discouraging. Browsing is impossible. Serendipity dies. Cook rejects this model entirely. His background isn't retail. His background isn't entertainment. His background is data. Cook came to video rental through catastrophe and necessity. He'd spent the previous 7 years running Cook Data Services, providing sophisticated computer software to Texas oil and gas companies. The software managed enormous databases, tracked complex supply chains, optimized resource allocation. Cook built a thriving business. Then, in 1982, oil prices collapsed. The entire Texas energy industry imploded. Overnight, Cook's client base vanished. The company that had employed 15 people and generated healthy profit suddenly had no customers and no prospects. Bankruptcy loomed. Desperation set in. His wife, Sandy, a movie enthusiast, suggested video rental. She'd been watching the industry, conducting informal research, visiting stores, talking to owners. What she discovered? An industry dominated by amateurs, mom-and-pop operations running 200 title collections out of converted convenience stores. No systems, no sophistication, no customer service standard, pure chaos masquerading as business. Cook saw inefficiency. More importantly, he saw opportunity. He saw how database management and supply chain logistics could transform video rental the same way they transformed oil exploration. He saw that the entire industry was waiting for someone with systems thinking to professionalize it. That first Blockbuster incorporates everything Cook learned building complex software: computerized inventory tracking via barcode scanning, magnetic theft prevention strips embedded in each tape, algorithmic categorization by genre and release date, laser scanning systems at checkout, 90-second transaction times from selection to exit. The store stays brightly lit, 60 fluorescent tubes overhead, no dark corners, no shadows. Immaculate, family-friendly, no adult content anywhere, no handwritten rental cards, no confusion, no chaos. Every detail matters. The store layout follows principles Cook learned from studying supermarket design. New releases at eye level near the entrance, classic films in the back to pull customers deeper, candy and snacks at checkout for impulse purchases. The carpet is blue. The walls are white with yellow accents. The shelving is gray metal. Industrial but clean. Everything screams professional operation. On opening day, 320 people join as members. They pay $3 for the privilege, a lifetime membership fee that grants access to the system. Many join simply from curiosity. What makes this place different? Why does it look like a real store instead of someone's garage converted to commercial use? Month 1 revenue exceeds projections by 40%. Cook runs the numbers nightly, tracking every metric: transaction velocity, inventory turnover, peak hours, demographic pattern. He discovers that Friday nights account for 37% of weekly revenue. That customers rent an average of 2.3 titles per visit. That new releases turn over 18 times before depreciation, while catalog titles turn over 6 times. The data tells stories. The data reveals opportunities. Cook doesn't celebrate, doesn't pause. By summer 1986, 4 locations across Dallas. By end of 1986, 9 stores. By 1987, 19 stores across Texas with more in development. The concept proves devastatingly effective. Large inventory means something for everyone. High turnover means fresh selection. Customer-first experience means people come back. Where competitors stock 200 titles and hope for the best, Blockbuster stocks 10,000 and guarantees availability. Where competitors rely on walk-in traffic and word of mouth, Blockbuster advertises aggressively on radio and local TV. Where competitors treat video rental as a side business to their main convenience store operations, Blockbuster treats it as industrial-scale retail requiring military precision. But Cook has a problem, a cash problem. Expansion costs money. Each new store requires $800,000 in capital. He needs more than Texas can provide. He needs a partner with deep pockets and expansion experience. He needs someone who's done this before. Enter Wayne Huizenga, February 1987. Huizenga, who'd co-founded Waste Management Inc. in 1972 and built it into the world's largest garbage disposal empire through ruthless acquisition and franchise expansion, has retired at 47 and is searching for his next conquest. He's bored. He's wealthy. He's hungry for another challenge. One of his former waste management executives mentions a promising video chain in Dallas. Huizenga flies south for a personal tour. Cook shows him everything: the stores, the systems, the financials, the expansion plans. Huizenga walks the aisles like a general inspecting troops, studies the checkout process, reviews the computer systems, examines the profit margins, sees everything Cook sees, plus one thing Cook doesn't yet fully appreciate: scalability. This model can go national, global. The systems are replicable. The brand is buildable. The economics work. Huizenga has built one empire from nothing. He can build another. He writes a check for 1/3 ownership of Blockbuster Entertainment. The transformation begins immediately. Under Huizenga's leadership, Blockbuster stops being a regional chain and becomes a machine engineered to consume competitors and saturate markets. The playbook comes directly from Waste Management. Identify underserved geographic areas, negotiate favorable strip mall leases, build standardized stores using proven designs, stock them with 12,000 titles purchased at volume discounts, train employees in the Blockbuster way using centralized training programs, and open to lines of customers stretching into parking lots. The expansion becomes mathematical. 1 store, then 10, then 50, then 100. Within 5 years, 500 locations operate across America. The blue and yellow logo becomes ubiquitous. You can't drive 5 miles in any major metro area without seeing a Blockbuster. Each location operates as a cash register that never sleeps. New releases at $3.99 per night. Catalog titles for 99 cents. Video games, the new frontier, as Nintendo and Sega battle for console supremacy at $5.99 for 3 days. The transactions add up. Multiply individual purchases by transactions per store, stores per region, regions per country. The numbers become staggering. But the real genius, the true profit center that transforms Blockbuster from successful to obscenely profitable, emerges from human psychology and forgetfulness. Late fees, $1 per day after the due date, compound daily. No exceptions, no sympathy. The system is elegant in its cruelty. You rent a movie Tuesday. It's due Thursday. You watch it Wednesday night, plan to return it Thursday morning. But Thursday, you wake up late, rush to work, forget the tape sitting on your TV. Thursday night, you remember, but you're exhausted. You'll do it tomorrow. Friday comes and goes. By Saturday, when you finally return the tape, you owe $8, double the rental fee. You don't plan to be late. Nobody plans it. Life intervenes. Work runs long. Kids get sick. The tape gets buried under mail on the coffee table. 4 days pass. 6 days. When you remember, the penalty exceeds the rental cost by 3 to 1. You drive back to the store, wallet out, shamefaced as the blue-shirted employee scans the barcode and announces with practiced neutrality, "That'll be $19.96. You pay. You always pay. Because until you settle the debt, your account is blocked. No new rentals, no access to the system. The card in your wallet becomes useless plastic. So you pay, resentment building, promising yourself you'll never be late again. But you will be. Everyone is eventually. By 1990, Americans collectively spend $600 million annually on Blockbuster late fees. $600 million extracted from forgetfulness and procrastination and the ordinary chaos of existence. A business model stumbles accidentally into psychological manipulation. Hold future access hostage until past debts are settled. It works. It works brilliantly. It works so well that late fees evolve from ancillary revenue into a primary profit center. By the late 90s, late fees account for 16% of total company revenue. 16%, nearly 1/6 of all money flowing through Blockbuster's registers, comes from punishing customers for being human. The cycle accelerates. Revenue funds expansion. Expansion generates more members. More members produce more late fees. Late fees fund more expansion. The machine becomes self-sustaining, self-replicating, seemingly unstoppable. Blockbuster goes public in 1987, raising capital for further expansion. International markets open. London, 1989. Toronto, 1989. Tokyo, 1990. By 1992, 2,500 stores operate globally. By 1994, Viacom, the media conglomerate controlling MTV, Nickelodeon, Paramount Pictures, and publishing houses, acquires Blockbuster for $8.4 billion, making it the crown jewel in an entertainment empire spanning every medium. A business that didn't exist 9 years earlier now dominates the home entertainment economy across 4 continents. To compete with Blockbuster in 1994 is to compete with gravity. Possible in theory, suicidal in practice. The stock trades at $24 per share. Analysts issue glowing reports. Business magazines write profiles. David Cook becomes a minor celebrity in retail circles. Wayne Huizenga's reputation as empire builder solidifies. Everything looks perfect, but already, invisible to shareholders, undetected by analysts, ignored by executives, cracks appear in the foundation. The debt from Viacom's leveraged buyout sits on the books like unexploded ordnance. Stock prices stagnate despite revenue growth. Expansion costs rise as prime retail locations become scarce and expensive. Same-store sales growth slows. Customer satisfaction scores, tracked quarterly through surveys, trend downward year after year. The resentment over late fees festers like infection. And most dangerous of all, the company's success breeds the very thing that kills empires: arrogance, institutional hubris, the unshakable belief that rules don't apply when you're this big, this beloved, this profitable, this dominant, the belief that what worked yesterday will work tomorrow, forever. Behind the friendly neighborhood video store, the smiling employees, the bright lights, the organized shelves, lies infrastructure of brutal sophistication and punishing economics. Each Blockbuster costs approximately $800,000 to establish, $350,000 for build-out and fixtures, carpeting, lighting, shelving, computers, scanners, security systems, signage, $450,000 for initial inventory, 8,000 VHS tapes, or, as the 90s progress, 12,000 DVDs purchased at wholesale prices ranging from $15 for catalog titles to $70 for new releases. Stores must stock deep in new releases to fulfill the brand promise of availability. 40 copies of Titanic the week it drops, 60 copies of The Matrix, 80 copies of Spider-Man. Each copy is a gamble on demand. Too few, and customers leave disappointed. Too many, and capital sits idle on shelves. The inventory depreciates to zero value within 6 months as customer interest wanes and new titles release. The entire collection turns over annually. It's capital consumption on an industrial scale. 6 massive distribution warehouses across North America, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Denver, Seattle, New York, handle centralized purchasing and inventory management. Every Tuesday, trucks deliver new releases to stores via proprietary routing systems optimized for efficiency. Teams of analysts predict demand based on box office performance, critic reviews, genre trends, historical rental patterns, even local demographic. Action films perform better in certain markets, foreign films in others, family content in suburban areas. The data drives decisions about how many copies to ship where. Underperforming titles return to warehouses. Hot properties receive emergency shipments mid-week. The logistics rival those of supermarket chains or military supply operations. Labor devours margins relentlessly. The average Blockbuster employs 7 to 10 hourly workers. Weekend shifts require 12 to 15 bodies to handle traffic spike. These aren't skilled technicians or trained professionals. They're high school students earning $6.50 per hour to smile, scan barcodes, shelve returns, restock candy, answer questions, and absorb complaints about late fees. Turnover approaches 90% annually. Training never stops. The company burns through human capital the way engines burn gasoline. Real estate represents the second great expense. Prime locations in high-traffic strip malls command $30 to $40 per square foot in annual rent. 5,000 square foot stores pay $150,000 to $200,000 yearly just for the privilege of existing in the space. Add utilities. The fluorescent lights run 14 hours daily. The HVAC systems maintain comfortable temperatures year-round, plus insurance, maintenance, security, property taxes. The overhead accumulates like snow in January. To remain profitable, each location must generate $35,000 to $40,000 in monthly revenue. That requires approximately 8,000 rental transactions every 30 days. Do the math. 8,000 transactions divided by 30 days equals 267 daily, divided by 12 operating hours equals 22 per hour. One rental transaction every 2.7 minutes from the moment the doors unlock at 10 a.m. until the manager counts the till at closing. The machine demands velocity, constant throughput. If the rhythm breaks, if customers slow down, if employees work inefficiently, if inventory runs low, the economics collapse. Daily reports track everything: customer count, new memberships, rental velocity by title and genre, late fee collection rates, per customer transaction value, inventory turn ratios, employee productivity metrics. District managers receive these reports every morning, fall short of targets, and they arrive for coaching sessions that feel more like interrogations. Why are late fee collections down 3%? Why did Saturday traffic underperform projection? Why are employees averaging 4 minutes per transaction instead of 3? Entire stores close based on algorithm-generated efficiency scores, not because they're unprofitable, because they're insufficiently profitable relative to other locations. The machine eats its weakest children. Employees learn quickly, push memberships aggressively, suggest additional rentals at checkout, upsell candy and popcorn, never waive late fees without manager approval, process transactions fast, smile constantly, absorb complaints without defensive reactions. The friendly, "Let me help you find something" experience Blockbuster advertises exists only so long as it doesn't interfere with the revenue extraction systems humming beneath the surface. And always, the late fees loom over every interaction. By 2000, late fees generate $600 million annually for Blockbuster. $600 million. An obscene tax on human imperfection and the ordinary chaos of life. Market research conducted quarterly shows that 83% of customers harbor active resentment toward late fees. 83%. Only 17% consider them fair or reasonable. But Blockbuster can't quit. The addiction runs too deep. Take away those penalties, and the entire economic model requires fundamental restructuring. The spreadsheets stop working. The profit margins evaporate. Wall Street gets angry. So the late fees continue, breeding resentment that accumulates like interest. The machine demands constant feeding. More stores, more inventory, more members, more transactions, more fees, more expansion. It resembles a shark. Swim forward or die, stop growing, and the whole structure collapses under its own weight. Behind this machinery, human costs multiply invisibly. Employees report workplace cultures dominated by metrics, pressure, impossible targets. Customers file complaints with consumer protection agencies about aggressive late fee collection practices, about accounts sent to collections agencies, about harassment over $15 debts. Small independent video stores close by the hundreds, unable to compete with Blockbuster's purchasing power and advertising budgets. The company becomes extraordinarily litigation-prone, suing former employees over non-compete agreements, battling municipalities over zoning disputes, defending class action lawsuits over late fee practices and deceptive advertising. Blockbuster even faces competition from within its own industry. Hollywood Video, founded in 1988, grows to over 2,000 locations using a similar model. Movie Gallery operates another chain. Regional players fight for market share, but Blockbuster remains dominant, crushing competitors through scale and brand power. By 2000, something fundamental shifts. DVD players fall below $100 and appear under Christmas trees across America. The picture quality vastly exceeds VHS. More importantly, DVDs allow customers to build personal libraries, buying copies outright instead of renting. Studios encourage this through aggressive pricing. New releases at $19.99. Why rent repeatedly when you can own? Cable companies launch video-on-demand services. Call a number, press buttons on your remote, and within minutes the movie appears on your television. No driving, no late fees, no returning. The convenience factor changes calculations. And the internet, still in awkward adolescence, still bandwidth limited, still clunky, hints at possibilities that will reshape everything. Streaming isn't viable yet, but the idea exists. The technology developed. Patience and capital can make it real. Warning signs flash amber across Blockbuster's operational dashboard. Revenue growth slows. Same-store sales decline year over year. Customer satisfaction scores continue dropping. The stock price stagnates despite the company opening new locations. Then, red. Urgent red. Because in California, two men start a company specifically designed to exploit every weakness in Blockbuster's armor. A company built on a simple insight. Customers hate late fees. A company that will, within 13 years, preside over Blockbuster's corpse and spark an entire industry transformation. The machine keeps swimming forward, but the water has become toxic. And the shark doesn't know it yet. Early September 2000, Renaissance Tower, Dallas, Texas. 27th floor. The elevator doors open with a soft chime. Reed Hastings, 39, and Mark Randolph, 42, step into Blockbuster's executive suite. They wear business casual, button-downs without ties, slacks, leather shoes, carry matching leather portfolios, radiate the specific nervous energy of founders whose startup teeters between breakthrough and bankruptcy. The receptionist, blonde, professional, perfectly polished, greets them with practiced warmth. Gentlemen, welcome to Blockbuster. Mr. Antioco will see you shortly. May I offer you water? Coffee? Hastings and Randolph exchange glances. Both think, we got the meeting. After months of calls and letters and persistence, we actually got the meeting. Last night, Netflix's first corporate retreat at Pajaro Dunes, a beach resort in rural California. The entire company, all 100 employees, gathered for team building and strategy. Wine flowed freely, emotions ran high. Because everyone knows the truth, Netflix is dying, slowly, publicly. $57 million in projected losses for the year 2000. 300,000 subscribers, a respectable number for a startup, but nowhere near the critical mass needed for profitability. The dot-com bubble has burst. Venture capital has evaporated. Companies are folding weekly. They need a lifeline. They need a strategic partner. They need someone with deep pockets and a willingness to bet on the future instead of the present. For months, they've been calling Blockbuster, leaving voicemail, sending letters, requesting meetings. The responses ranged from silence to polite brush-offs, but last week, finally, John Antioco's executive assistant called. 11:30 tomorrow morning, Dallas, Renaissance Tower, 27th floor. Be there. Problem: they're at a beach resort in California with 100 drunk employees and no way to reach Dallas by 11:30. The commercial flights won't work. The timing is impossible. Barry McCarthy, Netflix's CFO, proposes chartering a private plane. Cost, $20,000. The company doesn't have $20,000 in discretionary spending. Netflix is hemorrhaging money. But McCarthy makes the argument, we've waited months for this. We can't miss it. Hastings does the math, then says, We're on track to lose 50 million this year. Whether we pull this off or not, another 20 grand won't make a difference. Logic. Inescapable. They charter a Gulfstream jet. It turns out to belong to Vanna White, the famous game show co-host from Wheel of Fortune. They find this hilarious and absurd and somehow appropriate. Flying to save their company on a game show host's private plane. They land in Dallas early morning, check into a hotel, shower, change into business casual, rehearse the pitch one final time, then drive to Renaissance Tower. Now, waiting in Blockbuster's executive suite, the office space screams success. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Dallas, original artwork on walls, expensive furniture, everything designed to project power and permanence. After 10 minutes, a door opens. Gentlemen, Mr. Antioco will see you now. Inside the conference room, John Antioco, age 51, Blockbuster CEO since 1997. Before Blockbuster, he ran Circle K convenience stores, then 7-Eleven, a retail operator to his bones, pragmatic, numbers-focused, not someone who gets excited easily. His expression is professionally neutral, neither welcoming nor hostile. This is business. Hastings and Randolph sit, exchange pleasantries, comment on the view. Then, because time is limited, Hastings launches into the pitch. The proposal. Blockbuster acquires Netflix. Netflix becomes Blockbuster.com, the online arm of the empire. Netflix handles all technology, all website development, all fulfillment center operations, all customer service for online orders. Blockbuster provides the brand, the marketing power, the nationwide physical presence. Most importantly, customers order DVDs online, receive them by mail, then return them to any Blockbuster store for instant credit toward their next online rental. It's elegant. It solves Netflix's capital crisis. They get acquired by a giant, gain resources, gain brand association, gain legitimacy. It solves Blockbuster's digital blind spot. They get instant online capabilities without building infrastructure from scratch. Customers benefit from convenience and choice. Win-win-win. Hastings talks for 15 minutes, laying out projections, market research, subscriber growth curves, technology capabilities. Randolph chimes in with details about fulfillment logistics and customer satisfaction scores. McCarthy discusses financial structures and potential synergies. Antioco listens carefully, takes notes occasionally, nods at appropriate moments. His face reveals nothing. Then, after Hastings finishes, a pause. Antioco sets down his pen, looks directly at them. Interesting proposition. What's the price? Hastings doesn't hesitate. This number has been calculated, discussed, refined. $50 million. Silence. Brief but noticeable. Barry McCarthy, Netflix's CFO, who's present for the meeting, later recounts what happens next. John Antioco's lip twitched just slightly, barely perceptible, and I knew immediately what was happening. He was struggling not to laugh. The meeting doesn't explode. Nobody laughs out loud. Nobody says, "That's ridiculous." Antioco maintains professional composure. But the energy shifts. The executives around the table exchange micro-expressions. The body language changes. What began as genuine consideration transforms into polite obligation to finish the meeting. Antioco says something diplomatic. "We'll need to review this with our team. Consider the implications. We'll get back to you." Translation. No. Absolute no. But we're too professional to say it directly. Handshake. Thank yous. Pleasantries. Exit. Walking to the elevator, Hastings whispers to Randolph, "That went badly." Randolph nods. "Yeah, that was bad." On the flight back to California, commercial this time, not Vanna White's jet, the three men confront reality. They pitch their survival to the only company with resources to save them. And they were, essentially, laughed out of the room. Netflix might not survive the year. From John Antioco's perspective, the decision makes perfect sense. Elementary business logic. $50 million for a company losing money at an astonishing rate. Netflix has 300,000 subscribers. Blockbuster has 60 million members. Netflix operates out of a small fulfillment center in California. Blockbuster operates 6,500 stores worldwide. Netflix's brand is unknown outside tech circle. Blockbuster's brand recognition approaches 90% domestically. Market value. Blockbuster is worth $4.8 billion, generates $5 billion annually in revenue, employs 60,000 people, commands retail presence in every major metro area across 4 continents. What exactly does Netflix offer that Blockbuster couldn't build themselves if they wanted it? A mail-order DVD service? Blockbuster could create that in 6 months. A subscription model? They could test it next quarter. An algorithm for recommendations? They could hire engineers. The answer, from Antiocho's view, nothing. Netflix offers nothing of unique value. $50 million for nothing is a terrible deal. Case closed. What Blockbuster's leadership misses, what they fundamentally cannot comprehend from inside their fortress of current success, is that Netflix isn't competing on the same axis. Netflix isn't trying to be a better Blockbuster. It's not trying to out-retail the retail king. Netflix is trying to make physical retail obsolete, to make driving to stores unnecessary, to make late fees impossible, to make the entire experience of going to Blockbuster as dated as going to a telegraph office. Netflix operates on subscription economics, $20 monthly for unlimited rentals, no due dates, no late fees, no trips to stores, mail-order convenience for customers who value time over immediate gratification, a recommendation algorithm, learning preferences and suggesting titles. A customer service culture built on the insight that delighting users creates lifetime value far exceeding short-term extraction. But these innovations remain invisible to Blockbuster leadership. They see a niche service appealing to tech enthusiasts and early adopters, people who don't mind waiting 3 days for DVDs to arrive by mail. They miss the existential threat because they measure everything through the lens of their current business model. And that model, in the year 2000, still generates billions. Classic incumbent error. Confusing present profitability with future viability, assuming current advantages, brand power, scale, real estate, customer loyalty, create impenetrable competitive moats, believing customers love you so much they'd never abandon you for something different. Catastrophically wrong. That meeting in September 2000. That rejection, that twitching lip struggling to suppress laughter, that polite, "we'll get back to you," meaning never. It becomes the inflection point, the hinge of history, the exact second when Blockbuster signs its own death warrant in blue ink, in suppressed laughter, in corporate hubris, wearing a business suit. Because what they miss, what they cannot see from inside their 27th floor offices with downtown views, is that the world is changing. Customer preferences are shifting. Technology is evolving, and the empire they've built, magnificent as it is, rests on foundations that are eroding. Netflix survives the year 2000, barely, by selling enough shares, cutting enough costs, extending enough payment terms to creditors. They limp into 2001 still bleeding money, but alive. By 2002, profitable. The subscription model starts working. Word of mouth spreads. Growth accelerates. By 2005, 4.2 million subscribers. Revenue positive. Stock rising. The mail-order DVD business proves sustainable. By 2007, Netflix launches Watch instantly, streaming video over the internet. Limited library at first, rough technology, but functional and revolutionary. By 2010, original content production begins, no longer just a distributor, now a creator. By 2013, House of Cards earns Emmy nominations and critical acclaim. Netflix has become a prestige entertainment brand. By 2020, 200 million global subscribers, market capitalization exceeding $200 billion, more valuable than Disney. More influential than any traditional studio. The company that Blockbuster could have purchased for $50 million, now worth 4,000 times that amount. And Blockbuster begins its long, agonizing march toward extinction. The meeting in Dallas represents more than a missed business opportunity. It represents the death of institutional adaptability, the arrogance of power, the blindness that comes from winning too long, from dominating too completely, from believing your advantages are permanent rather than temporary. In that conference room, with laughter barely suppressed behind professional courtesy, an empire sealed its fate, not through one wrong decision, through a philosophy, through the belief that what worked yesterday will work forever. Stories like Blockbuster's are warnings written in billion-dollar losses. If these corporate autopsies fascinate you, if you want to understand not just what happened, but why, and what lessons they hold for companies that feel invincible today, subscribe to this channel. Your support allows us to keep excavating these ruins, to tell these stories, to extract wisdom from wreckage. Let's continue the investigation. They don't die quickly. They decay from inside. The rot spreads through the organism slowly, imperceptibly at first, then with gathering momentum until collapse becomes inevitable. Walk into a Blockbuster in Phoenix, summer 2008. Notice what's different. What's wrong? Fewer employees on the floor. Sarah, who worked here 5 years, who knew every customer by name, who could recommend movies based on a 3-sentence description of taste, quit last month for Target. Said she was tired of the pressure, the impossible targets, the constant cuts. The teenager at the counter started last week. He's the third new hire this month. Training takes time the store doesn't have. Shelves half empty, not completely barren, but noticeably sparse. Corporate can't afford deep stock anymore. The Dark Knight, just released. The biggest movie of the year. Christian Bale as Batman, Heath Ledger's final performance. This store has 12 copies. 3 years ago, it would have had 60. Customers come in asking for it. All checked out becomes the constant refrain. They leave disappointed. Some don't come back. Carpet fraying near the checkout counter, where 1 million feet have shuffled over the years. The wear pattern shows the erosion. Management submitted a work order 8 months ago. Nothing happened. Budget cuts. Every third fluorescent tube dark overhead, not burned out, turned off. To save electricity, the store feels dimmer, less welcoming. Less like the bright retail experience that defined the brand. The checkout computer freezes mid-transaction. The employee sighs. This happens 6 times a day now. Reboots the system. You wait. The customer behind you waits. The line grows. Someone sighs audibly. This transaction used to take 90 seconds. Now it takes 7 minutes. The smell has changed too. Less fresh popcorn popping constantly. More dust accumulating on shelves. The air conditioning runs less frequently. Another cost-cutting measure. On hot Phoenix afternoons, the store feels stuffy, uncomfortable. Customers browse faster, rent less, leave quickly. The magic is gone. The ritual feels hollow. Corporate mandates arrive weekly via email to district managers, who forward them to store managers, who implement them without enthusiasm. Cut staff hours by 10%. Reduce inventory purchasing by 15%. Eliminate all non-essential maintenance. Cancel the cleaning service. Have employees do it. District managers pressure stores to meet impossible targets with shrinking resources. The reports still arrive every morning. Customer count down 12%. Year over year, rental velocity declining. Late fee collection down. Customers pay less late fees because there's less to rent in the first place. Per transaction value dropping as customers rent fewer titles per visit. Morale collapses. The best employees flee to Best Buy or Walmart or quit retail entirely. The ones who remain are either trapped by circumstance, no other jobs available, or too junior to recognize the ship is sinking. Store closures accelerate. 500 locations in 2009. 800 in 2010. The blue and yellow signs come down across America. In strip malls from Seattle to Miami, from Portland to Phoenix, the distinctive branding disappears overnight. Parking lots empty. Space available signs appear. Former customers drive past, notice the absence, feel something they can't quite name. Not grief exactly, but loss, the passing of something familiar. Former employees describe the final days as surreal and sad, boxing up fixtures while customers shop, saying goodbye to people who've rented from the same location for 15 years, hosting going-out-of-business sales where bargain hunters descend like vultures, picking over remains, used DVDs for $3, display racks for $20, the popcorn machine, that symbol of Friday nights and family traditions, sold to a local youth center for $50. The membership scanner, the device that processed 1 billion transactions over 2 decades, that distinctive electronic chirp that soundtrack childhoods, gets liquidated for parts. Salvage value, $12. The stock collapses. $11 per share in 2008, $3.50 in 2009, 62 cents in 2010. Market capitalization falls below $500 million. Institutional investors flee en masse. Hedge funds short the stock, betting on bankruptcy. Analysts publish research reports with titles like The End of an Era and Blockbuster, Case Study in Digital Disruption. Debt becomes unmanageable. $1.4 billion on the books. Interest payments consume operating cash flow. Credit rating agencies downgrade Blockbuster to junk status. Banks refuse to extend lines of credit. Suppliers demand cash on delivery. The financial infrastructure that sustained the empire for 2 decades dissolves within 18 months. Competitors don't just compete, they dominate entirely. Redbox installs bright red automated kiosks in every grocery store and McDonald's across America. $1 per night. No membership required, no human interaction necessary. Swipe a credit card, select a movie, take the disc, return it to any Redbox anywhere when finished. The simplicity is devastating. Netflix transitions from mail order to streaming. Watch instantly launches in 2007. Limited content at first, mostly older titles, TV shows, documentaries, but functional. And the convenience is intoxicating. No physical media at all. No mail, no trips to stores, no due dates. Just click and watch. By 2008, streaming represents 20% of Netflix's activity. By 2010, 50%. Blockbuster attempts its own streaming service in 2009. It fails spectacularly. The technology doesn't work properly. Videos buffer constantly. Quality is poor. Content licensing deals fall apart because studios prefer Netflix's proven platform. Customers who try it complain bitterly on forums and review sites. The effort consumes $200 million in capital the company doesn't have while generating almost no revenue. By early 2010, Blockbuster operates in full crisis mode. Skeleton crews at every store. Zero marketing budget. No advertising, no promotions. No store maintenance anywhere. Corporate headquarters in Dallas resembles a morgue. Entire floors evacuated, desks sitting empty. The few remaining executives work from home, conducting fire sale negotiations with potential buyers who see only liquidation value. The customer experience becomes actively hostile. New releases don't arrive on Tuesdays anymore. The trucks stop coming reliably. Returned DVDs sit unshelved for days because there aren't enough employees to process them. The friendly "can I help you find something" service that characterized Blockbuster evaporates completely. You walk in, you search yourself, you check out with a disinterested teenager counting minutes until his shift ends. You leave. The experience has become transactional in the worst sense. Empty, joyless, a husk going through motions nobody believes in anymore. Regular customers notice. The people who came every Friday for 20 years stop coming. Some switch to Netflix, some to Redbox. Some simply stop renting altogether and subscribe to cable on-demand services. The tribal loyalty that Blockbuster cultivated for decades evaporates in months because loyalty requires reciprocity, and Blockbuster has nothing left to give. September 23, 2010. Blockbuster video files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The filing lists $900 million in debt against assets valued at less than $1 billion. The company announces it will immediately close 2,000 stores, nearly a third of remaining locations. Roughly 40,000 employees receive termination notices effective within 60 days. The bankruptcy process proves mercifully swift. Nobody wants to drag it out. In April 2011, Dish Network, the satellite television provider, submits the winning bid at auction, $320 million for Blockbuster's remaining assets, including the brand name, customer database, and approximately 600 operating stores. Dish promises to keep the brand alive, to integrate Blockbuster with Dish television services, to leverage the nostalgia and brand recognition. It's all corporate speak designed to placate creditors and create perceived value. Nobody actually believes it. By 2013, Dish closes 300 more locations. By 2014, every corporate-owned Blockbuster in America shuts down permanently. 9,093 stores vanished in 10 years. One remains, a franchise location in Bend, Oregon. Family-owned, stubborn, refusing to acknowledge the obvious. Bend, Oregon. 211 Northeast Revere Avenue. The last Blockbuster occupies a modest strip mall space between a smoothie shop called Jamba Juice and a mattress showroom running perpetual going-out-of-business sales. The blue and yellow sign still hangs above the entrance, faded by 15 years of high-altitude sun, colors not quite as vibrant as they were in 2004, but still recognizable from 50 yards away. Park in the lot. Walk toward the entrance. Through the windows, you see rows of DVDs arranged on wire shelving. The same shelving design used in every Blockbuster that ever existed. Grey metal, functional, industrial. The carpet inside is grey and worn, the pattern faded by millions of footsteps. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead with that specific electrical hum that anyone born before 1995 will recognize instantly. The smell hits you when you open the door. Popcorn, plastic cases, and that indefinable scent of a place preserved in time. Inside, the experience feels precisely, nostalgically, like 1998. Cases sorted by genre. New releases section up front, though new is relative when the movie business has largely moved to streaming. Action along the left wall. Comedy to the right. Family films back corner near the candy display. Everything alphabetized within categories. Everything accessible. Everything exactly as it was. Behind the counter stands Sandy Harding, general manager since 2004. She's 48 now, has worked here longer than most Blockbuster employees ever worked anywhere, knows the inventory by memory, can recommend movies based on a 3-sentence description of your taste, recognizes 4,000 active members by face, if not always by name. The store survives through an unlikely combination of nostalgia, tourism, fierce local loyalty, and sheer stubbornness, bordering on defiance. Travelers from 6 continents, Europe, Asia, Australia, South America, Africa, North America make pilgrimages to Bend specifically to visit the last Blockbuster. They photograph the sign. They pose with the logo. They browse the aisles even if they don't own DVD players anymore. They buy merchandise, t-shirts, hats, magnets, all emblazoned with the last Blockbuster. They rent movies they have no ability to watch because they're purchasing memory, not entertainment. Owner Ken Tischer, who opened this location in 1992 with his wife Debbie as their second video store, who converted it to a Blockbuster franchise in 2000, pays Dish Network an annual licensing fee for the right to continue using the Blockbuster trademark. The fee is nominal. Dish has no interest in video rental, but they maintain ownership of the intellectual property, and licensing it generates a few $1,000s annually for basically no effort. The store stocks roughly 1,200 titles. That's it, not the 10,000 that characterized Blockbuster at its peak, just 1,200. Carefully curated, heavy on classics, family films, and recent releases available on physical media. The selection is limited but considered. Nothing sits on the shelf unless it actually rents. Russell Crowe's costume from Cinderella Man, boxing robe, shorts, boots, hangs on the wall in a display case. A gift from comedian John Oliver, who bought several pieces of movie memorabilia for a segment on his HBO show Last Week Tonight, and donated them to what was then the last Blockbuster in Alaska. When that store closed in 2018, they shipped everything to Bend. Now, Russell Crowe's cinematic wardrobe watches over DVD rentals in Central Oregon. Surreal doesn't quite capture it. The membership scanner still works, still emits that distinctive electronic chirp when processing rentals, still uses barcode technology that seemed cutting edge in 1985, is now hopelessly outdated but remains perfectly functional for the task at hand. The sound activates something in visitors' brains. The Pavlovian response to ritual. 4,000 active members still rent here regularly. Not tourists, locals. Bend residents who maintain accounts, who check out movies on Friday nights, who return them on time, mostly, who prefer this experience to scrolling Netflix. Some don't trust streaming. Some don't have reliable internet. Some simply miss the ritual of browsing physical media, reading the backs of cases, making decisions with weight and consequence. This is what remains of an empire that commanded $6 billion annually and dominated the cultural landscape of the analog age. One store, one manager, 1,200 DVDs, Russell Crowe's boxing shorts, and the ghosts of 9,000 shuttered locations haunting strip malls across America and beyond. Drive through any suburb built between 1990 and 2005 and you'll find the shell. Former Blockbusters converted into Mexican restaurants, urgent care clinics, Dollar General stores, vape shops, real estate offices. The footprint remains visible if you know what to look for. Specific dimensions, approximately 5,000 square feet. Particular window placement, the ghost of blue and yellow paint bleeding through newer coats. Sometimes you can still see the outline where the sign once hung. Urban archaeologists of the future will excavate these sites the way we excavate Roman marketplaces or ancient temples. They'll puzzle over the original purpose. Entertainment distribution centers? Social gathering spaces, ritual sites for some forgotten cultural practice, in a sense, all three. Blockbuster Video wasn't merely a business, it was social infrastructure, the place you went Friday nights, not just to acquire entertainment, but to see neighbors, to be seen, to participate in the shared ritual of selection. The aisles functioned as public spaces where teenagers flirted awkwardly, where families debated movie choices and negotiated preferences, where friendships formed over recommendations at the new releases wall. The experience couldn't be replicated by an algorithm or a streaming interface because it wasn't about efficiency. It was about community. But apparently, efficiency could destroy community anyway. 2009. A Blockbuster in suburban Phoenix. 3 weeks before permanent closure. The membership card dispenser sits half empty on the counter. Pale yellow cards waiting to be activated, printed with member numbers in sequence, ready to welcome new customers into the system. New enrollment this week, 0. New enrollment this month, 0. Why join a dying club? Why establish membership in something that's ending? Behind the counter, in a storage room that once held promotional posters and standees and extra inventory, cardboard boxes contain hundreds of unused membership cards, pre-printed, ready to activate. They never will be. They'll be thrown away next week with everything else. The promotional posters featuring movies from 2006, the wire shelving that's not worth salvaging, the checkout computers running Windows XP. One card, already activated, already carrying history, ends up in a landfill outside Phoenix 3 months later. Name printed on front, Jennifer Martinez. Member since, 1997. 12 years of rental history encoded in a magnetic strip. Hundreds of transactions, thousands of dollars in rentals and late fees. All that data now buried under 3 feet of garbage, alongside disposable diapers and food waste, and the other detritus of American consumption. Jennifer doesn't realize her membership has expired until she drives to the Blockbuster near her house on a Friday in November. She pulls into the parking lot and notices immediately that something's wrong. The lights are off. The sign is down. Brown paper covers the windows. A small printed notice on the door. This location is permanently closed. Thank you for your business. No warning, no email notification, no goodbye. Connection severed overnight. 14 years of Friday night rituals erased by corporate bankruptcy and market forces she doesn't understand and didn't cause. She sits in her car for a moment. Engine running. Heat blasting against the November chill. Feels something unexpected. Grief, not for the store specifically, for what it represented. For the version of herself who walked these aisles with her kids when they were young. For the simplicity of that era. For the tangible nature of entertainment when movies came in boxes you could hold. She keeps the membership card anyway. Takes it home. Slips it into a desk drawer between expired grocery coupons and old business cards from conferences she doesn't remember attending, and ticket stubs from concerts years past. Sometimes, when searching for stamps or paper clips, she finds it, holds it. The lamination has started peeling at one corner. The printed name has faded slightly. The magnetic strip is probably dead. Obsolete technology from another age. The golden ticket has become trash, worthless, a relic of a system no longer operating, of infrastructure dismantled, of community dispersed. But she can't throw it away. Physically, cannot force her hand to drop it in the garbage, because throwing it away would mean accepting that this entire chapter of her life, this weekly ritual, this social infrastructure, this piece of American culture, is fully, finally, irrevocably dead. So it sits in the drawer, waiting. For what? She doesn't know. Present day, Bend, Oregon. The last Blockbuster. Tourists who visit the store purchase replica membership cards as souvenirs. Not real accounts. Not functional. Just laminated rectangles approximately 3.4 inches wide, printed with Last Blockbuster, Bend, Oregon, and space for you to write your name in marker. They sell for $5 each, the single most popular item in the store. Outsells actual DVD rentals 3-1. People buy them by the dozens, frame them under glass, post photos on Instagram with captions about nostalgia and simpler times, mail them to friends as gifts that are jokes that aren't quite jokes. Because holding that yellow rectangle, even a replica, even a fake, activates something deeper than nostalgia, something more primal. It activates grief. Grief for the loss of physical spaces where communities gathered around shared interests. Grief for the slower pace of analog existence when entertainment required effort and planning. Grief for Friday nights when acquiring a movie meant driving somewhere, walking aisles, reading cases, making decisions, bringing them home, an entire ritual that required time and attention and present, as opposed to scrolling infinite digital libraries alone on a couch while eating dinner from styrofoam containers, paralyzed by choice overload. Ultimately, watching nothing because everything is available, which means nothing is special. In 2024, an original Blockbuster membership card from the 1990s appears on eBay, not a replica, an original, pale yellow, name worn off, barcode intact, member since 1993, still visible. The seller includes a story, found it in their father's wallet after he died. He'd kept it for 30 years, even though the last Blockbuster in their city closed in 2011. Kept it like people keep wedding rings or military medals or other artifacts of identity. The auction attracts 43 bidders. The price climbs steadily. $100, $200, $300. Final sale price, $378 plus shipping. $378 for a laminated rectangle of plastic with no functional value. For something that grants access to nothing, that opens no doors, that serves no purpose except to exist. But the buyer isn't purchasing plastic. They're purchasing what it represents. The ability to hold, physically, tangibly, a talisman from a time when Blockbuster Video seemed permanent, when the blue and yellow logo was as ubiquitous as McDonald's arches or Starbucks mermaids, when Friday night meant Blockbuster night, and everyone understood exactly what that meant. The yellow card lies in a display case now, mounted on black, felt inside a shadow box frame, hanging on someone's wall somewhere. Probably a home office or game room or basement entertainment space, mounted next to other artifacts from the late 20th century, a Nokia brick cell phone, a Sony Walkman with foam headphones, a printed MapQuest direction sheet with highlighted routes, a Blockbuster Video membership card, Small monuments to ephemerality, reminders that nothing lasts. Not technology, not companies, not cultural institutions, not even the rituals and habits that feel so permanent they seem like natural law. Not empires, not technologies, not rituals, not even memories, which fade like yellow plastic left too long in the sun, colors leaching away year by year until only the faintest ghost remains. What killed Blockbuster Video? Easy answer. Netflix. Competition, technology, disruption, creative destruction, the internet. But that's intellectually lazy. That's the surface explanation. That's what people who don't think deeply about business failure tell themselves to feel smart. Netflix was the instrument, not the cause. The bullet, not the gun. The symptom, not the disease. Blockbuster died of arrogance, of institutional blindness, of hubris so complete that warnings became invisible. They built an empire on a business model requiring customers to do things they actively hated, drive to stores in traffic, pay punitive late fees, return items on arbitrary schedule, and assumed that empire could never be challenged because it was too big, too established, too culturally embedded, too beloved. Wrong. Catastrophically wrong. The deeper truth, Blockbuster died because its leaders stopped asking what comes next. They stopped imagining futures different from the present. They measured success exclusively in metrics that reinforced existing strategy: store count, quarterly revenue, market share percentage. They optimized relentlessly for efficiency within their chosen model rather than questioning whether the model itself remained viable. When existential threats appeared, Netflix offering subscriptions, DVDs dropping in price, cable launching on demand, bandwidth increasing, they dismissed them as niche concerns irrelevant to the core business, niche markets that would never scale, technology that would never matter, competitors that would never threaten the empire. By the time they recognized the danger, the cancer had metastasized beyond treatment. The patient was terminal. The only question was how long the death would take. Business history offers no shortage of similar cautionary tales. The examples pile up like cordwood. Kodak invented the digital camera in 1975, then buried the technology to protect film sales. By 2012, bankrupt. Borders bookstores dismissed online retail as an unprofitable distraction, insisted customers preferred browsing physical stores. Amazon consumed them. By 2011, liquidate. Nokia dominated mobile phones globally through the early 2000s, commanded 40% market share, dismissed smartphones as expensive toys for business people. Apple and Android redefined the category. By 2013, sold for parts to Microsoft. Sears pioneered catalog retail, owned the American department store market for a century, refused to adapt to e-commerce and changing consumer preferences. By 2018, bankrupt. Toys R Us dominated toy retail, refused to invest in online presence, maintained expensive real estate footprints while consumers shifted to Amazon and Walmart. By 2017, liquidated. Same pattern repeats across decades and industries. Dominant incumbents convince themselves that current advantages, brand power, scale, customer loyalty, physical infrastructure, create permanent, competitive moats that cannot be crossed by challengers. They believe success is self-perpetuating, that what worked yesterday will work forever. They're always wrong, without exception, every single time, because the world changes, technology evolves, consumer preferences shift, new generations have different expectations, and organizations that fail to change with them don't merely decline, they vanish completely, leaving only ruins for archaeologists to excavate. Blockbuster's corpse warns every company, every industry, every institution currently mistaking present success for guaranteed future survival. The warning is simple: dominance is temporary. Competitive advantages erode. Customer loyalty is contingent, not absolute. And no amount of past success protects you from irrelevance if you stop adapting. What's required? Constant questioning. Eternal paranoia. The discipline to cannibalize your own business before competitors do it for you. The courage to invest in uncertain futures while the present still generates profit. The humility to recognize that your empire, like all empires before it, will eventually fall unless you're willing to tear it down and rebuild something better. Blockbuster had every advantage: capital, brand recognition, customer relationships, physical infrastructure, data on consumer preferences. They could have built Netflix themselves. They could have transitioned to streaming. They could have eliminated late fees and embraced subscription models. They could have adapted. They chose not to. They chose quarterly earnings over long-term vision. They chose efficiency over innovation. They chose protecting the present over building the future, and they died. In the end, what remained? One store in Bend, Oregon. 1,200 DVDs on wire shelves, Russell Crowe's boxing shorts under glass, 4,000 nostalgic members, and memory of something that seemed eternal. The rest is dust and yellow plastic cards in drawers across America, waiting to be thrown away by grandchildren who'll never understand what it meant to make it a Blockbuster night, who'll never experience the ritual of Friday evening video rental, who'll never browse physical media with friends and family, debating choices, building culture together. Because the golden age of video rental didn't end with a bang. It ended with a meeting in a Dallas boardroom where one man's lip twitched at the audacity of a $50 million proposal. It ended with late fees that poisoned customer love $1 at a time. It ended with institutional hubris mistaking temporary market dominance for permanent invincibility. It ended the way all empires end, slowly, then suddenly. Through complacency, through arrogance, through failure to imagine futures different from the past. It ended the way everything ends, by forgetting that nothing, not even Blockbuster video on a Friday night, lasts forever.